Hey, Over the Glass fam, and welcome to another season of the podcast. Your fabulous co-hosts, Jay and Nessa, are here to bring you all things hockey, fan culture, diversity, and inclusion.
It's only me, it's really early in the morning, and in walks Joe Sakic, who is the GM. He handed me a coffee. He's like, "Here, Aaron, good morning." And I just look at him and I'm like, "Am I supposed to get you coffee?" And he just stares at me and he just goes, "No, my treat today, here you go. Thank you, Mr. Sakic, really appreciate it, and I'll have the press clips on your desk in 10 minutes. And he's like, "Oh, no rush, you're fine. And I need you to call me Joe." I physically cannot call you Joe. And I said that, and I was just like, "I don't know if I can actually call you that, Mr. Sakic." And he goes, "Well, your challenge for this summer is you're gonna call me Joe."
The new women's hockey league was finally announced.
It was so sudden. It was so fast. All the information was coming in chunks, so we had no idea what was going on. And it was so confusing and so frustrating as a fan and as someone who was used to covering, as someone who worked really closely with the Riveters for a season. So everything that was happening, I was like, this is so unfair.
Mikhail Sergachev has talked to Russian media and voiced support for Ivan Provorov, saying that, quote, "cancel culture in America is worse than in Russia," unquote, in parentheses, where people are jailed for protesting the war, and that, quote, "liberals and Democrats tried to suffocate," unquote, Russians. I think I literally laughed out loud when I read this tweet because it's so ridiculous. It's really laughable because, first of all, this guy lives in Florida. Let's talk about cancel culture in Florida. If you could kind of just talk to us about your experience as a trans writer.
I've always been a dude that likes sports. So when I started writing for Inside the Rink, that's just the frame of mind I've always been in. But with the recent legislature, challenges and bans and laws, it's made me hyper aware of being trans in athletics. To be honest, it's one of those things I fear every day is I'm going to write an article and somebody's going to disagree with it, and it's going to be loaded with slurs and low blows, because as far as I'm concerned, yeah, I might be a trans guy, but at the end of the day, I'm just a dude that likes sports.
We finally did our fantasy draft. It was my very first time.
I was surprised you guys didn't draft Dougie Hamilton. And he was there for much later than he should have been. And I was like, is no one seeing this gem right now? Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss an episode. And interact with us at over_the glass on Twitter and Instagram. It's time to drop the puck.